believe you did this to me. And I'm like, wait a minute, what did I do?
Hey, it's Renita.
Welcome to Leadership Live, Season 5.
Once again, so much. This is coming in 3 days. But I will touch on this and then, move us on. But the idea that, one, I love that you discussed not being able to grieve because you religified or scripturified it so much, and separating your emotions from your spirituality. So because in what we believe, we were given free will. So we were given choices, and we make choices every day. And I think about Flip Wilson being Geraldine talking about the devil made me do it. Well, the devil didn't make you do it. You made a choice. And I mean, well, that is very funny because it is. Flip Wilson, legend. But it's funny because it's where people place blame. I can walk away from my choice because it wasn't me. It was God did it, or the devil made me do it. Like, no. Free will being, let's discuss. They didn't. You have free will. You made a choice. You are a human. You are a spiritual being, have a human experience. Mm-hmm. You're having this experience like you are in human form right now. So, and in your human form, you have choices. So let's accept that we make choices, because that's part of accepting who you are. I am a person who makes this choice. I am a person who makes this choice over and over and over again. And as a result of making this choice over and over again. So, okay. So I'll take this back to a conversation I had with, but the conversations I had both with Tavia Jacks and with Victoria Williams previously on the season, and both of them, what Tavia named it as a lagging indicator. Mm-hmm. Victoria talked about it too. The choices that we're making today are shaping our tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So Tavia talked about not being able to fit a pair of jeans. Well, that didn't just start today. You couldn't fit those jeans because of choices that you made ago. So, and this is the same idea. Because of choices that you made at some point in time, and you're trying to cover it, ma'am, sir, you can't get over it. You can't get through it, and you can't move on because you're not dealing with the fact that it was you.
That's right.
You've got to deal with the fact that it was you. And this is why it comes out all the time. It's really popular now when people talk about Jesus and therapy. You need both. Because and from where you're talking, it's because you need to deal with your spiritual self. You need to deal with your emotional or human self. Like you, because of the choices you make. And I mean, I believe that, in my belief, God gifted everybody. I do believe that God gifted therapists.
We all gifted, yeah.
To get therapists to be able to talk to me about the crap that I've done or the crap that's been done to me and how my response is to that now. Yeah. So if I am dealing with that, then that means I can't just church it away.
That's it.
Come on, Solange, with cranes in the sky and all the things she tried to do it away.
Yeah.
But she still had to deal with the stuff. You can't just church trauma away.
You can't.
You cannot church trauma away, because at the end of the day, religious leaders are not particularly trained to deal with your trauma. Half of them never even heard of what ACEs are.
Nope.
They don't know.
No.
And so trying to church away your hurt, you're going to find yourself lost, or you're going to find yourself covered and masked and not showing up at yourself. Sandra, woo!
Exactly.
You can't do that.
You can't do it.
You do, and the more you hide under religion, because some people do hide.
They do
under religion. They're not so religious. They're hiding under religion, and a lot of them don't even know the faith that they claim to believe in.
Yep.
They're just believing whatever the sermon said.
Yep.
And they're not even going back for themselves and reading.
Yep. That's right.
Going back for themselves and praying. Some people only pray on Sunday.
Absolutely.
They don't even pray for themselves on Sunday. It's just the corporate prayer. Now, we need covering. Yes, where 2 or 3 are gathered, so it's the Lord. But God is everywhere, so it's not just where 2 or 3 are gathered, right?
Yes.
But yes, and we were meant to be interconnected beings. I wholeheartedly believe that. But the way some churches set up, it makes it hard.
It does.
It makes it hard. And the sooner that we face that as a community of believers, of whatever you believe in, because there's corrupt practice in every religion.
Everyone.
Because humans have their hands on it.
That's it.
And because humans have their hand on it, the leadership may or may not be true practicers in the fullness that the religion is.
Exactly.
Like even when we look at interpretations of different holy scriptures, we don't particularly know what that person was thinking, believing, or feeling when they wrote it down. So was their interpretation altering the original language? Because a lot of us can't read the original language of different texts. And this is, once again, not just Christianity.
Exactly.
So when it got interpreted, was it interpreted through a patriarchal lens? Was it interpreted through trauma? Was it interpreted through this type of person did this to me, so I'm about to write this and say this is the translation of this? We don't know. We're choosing to have some blind faith sometimes. But your faith can't be so blind that you don't do the research for yourself.
Do it for yourself.
Go in and say, look, God, I need you to give me all the discernment in your discernment pocket today, because I'm about to go in with you. I need to know if this is real, because some of this is contradicting other things that you are saying. So if love is the call,
come on.
If compassion is the call, why are you calling me to hate at the same time?
Come on. That right there.
So yes, all that, yes. And as we are thinking throughout the week, because I am hoping that Leadership Live always takes people and has them think more.
Yes.
But as we are continuing to think during the week, take that thought. What is contradictory in your life? Not just religious wise, but in your life. What contradictions are showing up? And have you ever questioned them? And what is it that you really believe or feel that's right? Because sometimes our feelings, or I say Yeshanana, I tell you something.
I'll tell you, yes, every single time.
And some people believe that's the Holy Spirit, that's the Comforter telling you, baby, knock, knock, hello, that ain't it.
Exactly.
People call it different things. But whatever that unction is for you, listen to it.
Listen to it. Yes.
When something's not right, question it. It's okay to question it.
Yes.
Ask the question. Why does this not feel right? If I believe this, why does this other thing, why is that being told to me when it goes directly against the other thing I was told to believe?
Come on. Yes.
That's chaos. That's disorder. And my God is not a God of chaos.
That's right.
And so, moving through that, because that could be a 400-hour conversation.
Come on here. Yes, it can. Absolutely.
Decades and years, and they're gonna keep talking about it. But everybody out there, that's something to think on. But we're gonna shift to something else you talked about. Hello, I am Dr. Renita L. Webb.
We're ready to not only be poured into, but to also pour out today. Our best, our very best, to be on time. Hello, somebody can say on time.
I had a moment where you had something that was given to you that you thought was your gift, and you found out it was for everybody.
And I remember Sister Vanessa went with her friends to Baltimore to see the wretch. At that time, I didn't know what the wretch was. I didn't know what wretch meant, but I knew she shouldn't have been there.
To learn how to have those feelings and to crank up those emotions within you to say, oh, that really wasn't right.
I sit better in my car than I do in my shower, but that when you know, I only sit better in my car when it's just me in the car. Unless my jam comes on, then I don't care who's in the car. We're going to take my freedom. You talked about the idea of abandonment. And there was a part of you that got abandoned. And you also talked about these different roles that you play in life. And so I'll ask this. As you started getting new roles in your life, like mother or wife or whatever roles you were playing at work or roles you were playing at church,
Mhm.
at what point in time did you abandon Sandra?
I will say, let me just give some context here. So my nickname is Lady. My grandmother named me Lady before trauma set in. So when I refer to her in my mind, for me, I'm talking about Lady. That's really who I abandoned, because that was the vibrant girl. That was the girl who was just full of love, full of laughter, just free spirited. Um, so the moment I realized I had abandoned her was, hmm, I think it was when I got married, because in that space it was more concentrated, and it was the hyper focus was on being the perfect wife. It was on being what the person who I saw every single day, what he wanted, what he needed. Um, and on top of that, the demands of also being a mom in that space of marriage. So, and what religion said a wife and a mother is supposed to look like and what they're supposed to be, I started noticing that. And then it really hit home when I started my journey and I allowed my children to sit and tell me how they were experiencing me as a believer. And when I tell you, it was heart wrenching, because the whole time I thought that because I was praying and because I was in my Bible and because I was guarding them and because I was beating them on the head with scripture and making them drag in the church, the whole time they were suffering emotionally right up in my under my tutelage. They were going through things in their life and I didn't even see it. And it was in that point that I realized that I had abandoned myself to the point that I couldn't even see my own children, what they were going through, how they were experiencing us, and how they just didn't want nothing to do with church, God, or nothing. They wanted nothing to do with it. And the whole time I'm thinking, oh, they good. As long as I'm going to church doing what I need to do, they good. But they weren't. They were going through something. And when I tell you, rather than sitting and trying to defend my actions to them, I sat with it. I sat with the discomfort of what I felt as they were talking. Yeah, that human side of me wanted to raise up and defend it, but wasn't no defending, because that was their life. This is what they were experiencing, and it was real to them. No level of defensiveness could erase what they were feeling in that moment. Nothing I could have said could have taken away what they were experiencing all those years. So it was also in that moment that I realized, wow, I had abandoned myself. And when I think about all the relationships that I had even before I got married, I realized every relationship was about performance. It was about being who they wanted me to be, because growing up in my childhood, I was made to feel like I had to be the second choice. There was a lot of preferential treatment that was going on around me where it made me feel like I was the second choice. So that's what shaped me. That's what shaped my relationship. So every relationship I had ended in them choosing somebody else. Even to the point, while serving God, I needed a married man, thinking that this was my plight. This is what I'm supposed to do because I'm second. I'm supposed to be second. This is the tone that trauma set for me, that I'm second. So that's what I thought I was going to settle for. And I set up in some, it was times we would meet up. I'm sitting up in my bed reading my scripture, talking to a married man. This is me being real. This is me being raw, y'all.
Right.
I don't know no other way than to be raw. But this is what I thought. All that time, I'm still abandoning a version of myself that that deserved so much more, that was so much more valuable than what I even knew. And I took all that, transferred all the way up into my marriage, still went in with that mindset, became everything he wanted, what he needed, did what he asked, Yeah, we had our challenges and stuff, but still feeling like I wasn't quite me. A lot of times I wanted to do my hair a certain way. He didn't care too much for it. Certain ways I wanted to dress, he didn't care for. I said, okay, well, but then that little stuff that was going on in my stomach that I was feeling that gut, that when something ain't right, but yet you got to do it anyway. Kept feeling that all the time. When he said, oh, well, we should do this or you this, and maybe, okay, that feeling in my stomach was right there all the time. Stuff just wasn't feeling right. But I bypassed it. I said, okay, all right, God, you said it's your will, God. They said it's you, God. They told me it was you, God. They said that you want me to do this, so I'm gonna do it. Even though everything inside of me was screaming, no. So it was being able, when I started sitting with myself, it was as if the movie screen started playing. And it was as if God was taking me back to every scene. You remember when this happened? Remember how this did this? And remember what your response was? Remember how he and she said this? And it played right before me. This is where you left her in that moment. This is where you left her in this moment. This is where you left her in this moment. So I had to go back to every version of her and tell her it was safe for her to come out. That now she could be who she was always meant to be. And she no longer has to hide, and she no longer has to be ashamed for being who she is. So I had to give her permission to show up. I had to give her permission to show up. And so now she's here, and she's here to stay.
How do you move different now that she's here?
One thing I do different now is I pay attention to one, my nervous system when I'm around people and in certain spaces, because that was the kicker for me, was going in spaces and immediately altering who I was, immediately conforming, immediately ready to abandon and get in the character so I can be what everybody want me to be. But I no longer do that. Not only that, I've learned how to, the very things that I was once ashamed of, felt guilty for or felt bad about. Now those things are what I call my power, which is me being able to sit on this call with you and tell you some raw stuff where at one point in my life, there's no way I would have disclosed any of that to you because I was so inward. But I have found that truth and transparency is my love language. From dealing with so much trauma, from going through so much over the years of my life, and I feel like a lot of stuff I was taught was lies. So because of that, I thrive in truth. If it ain't truth, if it ain't real, if it ain't authentic, I don't want it. I don't care if your truth and your real and your raw is dirty. Give it to me. I want to meet you right there. Because I need to see that, I say this all the time, you got to deal with people where they are. So if you are dealing with a person that's a thief, it's okay for you to deal with them and talk to them and conversate with them. But what you got to know is that you can't put your pearls out there. You can't leave your diamonds out there because you're dealing with, you understand what I'm saying? So it's understanding that you dealing with a liar, they're a liar. Okay, it's okay. High five them, support them, love on them. But know that whatever they're saying is going to be, it's a possibility that what they say is going to be altered. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Understand and know that what they say is a slight possibility that it ain't true. But it don't mean that you stop having compassion on them. It don't mean that you kick them to the curb. But you got to always, I feel like when you learn how to show up as you can accept people showing up as them because you give them a place and a space to feel safe to be who they are. Right. And one thing I will never do, Dr. Renita, is I will never, ever subscribe to somebody feeling like they got to shrink to be in my presence. It's been people that come around and they'll use, like we were talking about the profanity thing, like, hey, that's who you are. One thing on a platform, but when we just kicking it, we somewhere, the house outside or wherever, hey, be you. If that's what you do, do that. Show up as you. Don't come in here shrinking and trying to fit who I am. Because guess what? When I step in the room, I'm stepping in it as me every single time. So That's what I push, and that's what I want. It's no more abandoning her. And I want all women to remember that, Dr. Renita. I want these women to remember how powerful they are before that relationship stripped them of that and told them that they weren't enough, and that they had to take the emotional abuse, or that they had to take the physical abuse, or that they had to alter who they were. But they need to remember, baby, you are enough, that you are worthy, you are important, that you matter. Even in your flaws, you are still worthy. And you were worthy from the moment you came out your mama's womb. And it ain't nothing you got to do to prove that. You are worthy no matter what. I want them to remember that. And I want them to embody that and to walk in that. And I want them to know that whether the room is for them or not, don't mean they ain't deserving of being in it. Be you. That's my next word, by the way. Be you authentically.
So, thinking about being you authentically and showing up in different places and spaces, because we have this space together today. We've been in spaces where there have been a lot of different people in the room. You walk around different people every day. And we always want to be ourselves. But I heard a quote from someone recently, and they said, always be your authentic self, always. But how much of yourself a person gets to see is different where you are. Not everybody deserves the full authentic you in that moment, meaning that some things you just not gonna say to people.
That's true. That's true. I agree with that 1,000%. Because
how do you make that choice?
How do you make that
choice?
How do I make that choice? Here's the thing. I read the room. And I know, like I say, I pay attention to my body when I'm in the presence of someone. And I know when it's a safe place to just let it all out or use some discretion. Give them just a little bit. They can't handle all of that right now. Just give them just give it in a parade form. They can't take the steak right now. They're not ready for that. And all you got to do is just listen to people talking. You can tell when they're ready to hear truth. Because I tell a woman in a minute, I encountered a woman recently, and I said, you know what? I said, I love your ability to just be you. Even as a minister, I can tell that she's not conforming, but she's being who she is. Because I recognize it. Because I done met myself that deep. So I know when I see somebody being raw and real. So yeah, I don't believe that everybody deserves that level of access to you. So number one. Number two, I'm mindful of the spaces that I go in. So when I'm invited to certain things, one, I'm gonna check myself and see if this is a space that I need to be in or not be in, so to speak. You know what I mean? And if I am feeling some kind of way, I'm gonna double check myself. Because okay, why are you uncomfortable going over there? Because is it about that, or is it about what's going on inside? Is it something else you need to unpack? So I'm always checking in with myself when I get the uneasiness or feeling that any of the slight of nervousness or whatever. I check in with myself. Okay, Sandra, what's this? Why are you feeling this? Where is it coming from? So that's how I choose. I just it's just something that you know, because when you've been in environments where you've been, and trust me, I've been in a boatload of environments where I feel like I was forced to perform or be something or someone that I wasn't. And so I just know when I'm in the presence of someone and I know I can be myself. And if I know I can't, if I feel like I can't be fully who I am, I just, gracefully pull back and I just redirect myself and go in another direction and bid them farewell and do it with peace and do it with love. But one thing I will never do, Dr. Renita, is allow a person to dictate how I show up in this world. I'm going to always be cordial. I'm going to always say hello. I'm going to always greet you with love and kindness, regardless, because that's just who I am. And that's one thing I've learned about myself, is that I am love and that I exude light everywhere I go. And I'm not going to let anyone dim that. I don't care how you act and how you feel about me. I can be the villain in your story. I'm still going to greet you with love, because that's who I am. And if I stop doing that because you around, then I ain't being true to myself. I'm letting you control me. I'm letting you dictate how I show up. And I'm not going to let you do that.
I love the idea that authenticity and access are two different things.
Two different things.
Granting you a limited amount of access does not make me any less authentic. I can still be authentic while limiting your access. You do not have an all access pass to me.
Exactly.
And
Absolutely.
that's not hiding, that's not shrinking. That is a gradual release program.
There you go.
And
Exactly.
some people don't need to ever receive the release. And I like the idea of you not choking on the steak. So I'm gonna puree it for you. That is funny to me.
Yes. Yes.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, as we're wrapping up, because once again, this could be a 90-hour
Absolutely.
conversation. I want to ask you, what is your personal definition of authenticity?
My personal definition of authenticity is the version of you, in all honesty, the version of you that you don't hide. I'm not talking about the version of you that you put on display, what you want people to see, but the real you, the version of you where in a closed room you let, like for instance, we some of us women might have some little gut things going on. We put little stuff on to tuck us in, but authenticity is you walking in a room without that on. That's all of you. That's everything. That's all of the shapes and the squares and the bumps and the rolls. That's everything without the shaper. And again, the whole analogy about the data, pulling data from a database before you go, you have a chance to polish it up, the unpolished version of you. I'm talking about the version of you that every now and then you got that little slight tone of being critical towards somebody. Yeah, you critical. You can own that. That's you. Not that you need to stay that way, but that's you. That's who you are at your core. Because even if you learn that, that's you. Let's just to be real about that. So that's what I say. Um, it's that parts of you that you don't hide, like not the iceberg, but everything beneath it.
I don't know about you, but I love people. People are some of my favorite folks. But sometimes people get on my very last nerve. And that's why the reminder that people be peopling is available for you in t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts. Go to www.drrenitaweb.com. Click use your words up in the right hand corner and get yours today. Oh yeah. So question, can your authentic self change over time?
I feel like your authentic self, you will always be who you are at your core. Now, might you evolve and adapt based on life situations, circumstances? Absolutely. But as long as it doesn't take you and uproot you from your core of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it starts to uproot the core, because see, at my core, Dr. Renita, I'm a loving person. At my core, that's who I am. Now, will people take it? Have people taken advantage of that?
Mm.
And then I'm taking advantage of that. Guess what happens? Well, I'm gonna stop giving. I'm gonna stop loving on people. So in that moment, now I'm choosing to be authentic. Yeah, I know it sounds like you're protecting yourself, but again, that's just like saying I'm not gonna allow anybody to dictate how I show up. If you loving, be loving. You just gotta choose and figure out who you need to show love to. You gotta determine that part, because I don't mean that everybody's deserving of that level of love from you, but you just gotta know who to give it to. But it don't change who you are at your core as a loving person.
Mm-hmm. Or how you show love. Sometimes my love is,
Or how
I'm
you
not
show
doing anything to you today. That is the most loving thing I can do for you. Because if I say something to you today, this is not going to end well. So my most loving thing to you today is to not show up or to not say anything, to not speak on it. But if
yeah,
you ask me, I'm going to answer.
that right there.
But
Yeah,
my loving form is my silence today. It's
yeah,
how I love you. I'm not
yeah,
saying anything.
yeah. And that's valid. That's valid, Dr. Renita. That is so valid. Because you gotta know what it looks like for you. You gotta know what it looks like for you. And if that's what love looks like for you, then hey, again, I said you gotta learn to accept people's capacity. And it don't mean that they don't love you. It's just that the capacity of which they can love you is might be right here versus right here. I'm just saying, had the glass half empty or full, you got to accept their capacity. Because you trying to get a full glass of water out of a glass that only has a half glass of water in it. Come on.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
That's what I have for you today. Um, And I'll ask another question. Do you think authentically anybody is inherently bad?
No, I don't. I really don't. I don't believe that nobody wakes up and they're born this bad, horrible person. I just don't. Because I always say when I see people moving a certain way, I say, okay, what happened to them? What happened? Because this is the thing, the kicker. For every person's behavior, there's always an underlying issue, good or bad. If you're good all the time, that's what that means, that your underlying issues that, hey, you had a good life, you worked on yourself, you healed, you got through some stuff. But if you're displaying negative types of behavioral patterns, something happened. And sometimes it's to no fault of your own, because can trauma be passed down through DNA? Absolutely. So some of our triggers ain't even got nothing to do with what we went through, but it's what mama done went through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say, so you can be born with it from that perspective and inheriting these triggers, yes. But I just don't believe that nobody is just inherently just bad. It's about understanding why they are the way that they are. And that's what I choose to do. I choose to be understanding, because when you understand, you can have compassion. And having compassion don't mean you got to tolerate nothing, but it just means that you understand. And so you know how to show up for them, and you know how to show up or not show up.
You bring up trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, is trauma an emotional or a spiritual experience, or both?
Repeat that again.
Is trauma
Oh, is okay.
is trauma an emotional or a spiritual experience, or both?
Both. Because some people do have spiritual trauma, especially from religious organizations. Some, I would say the bulk of it is emotional. It's this is why I tell people that we don't get to dictate what traumatizes us. Our nervous system determines that. It's not what happened to us, it's what our nervous system, how our nervous system responds to what happens to us. So you can be all right mentally in your mind and think you've moved past something, but your nervous system holds that memory. And the moment you get in a situation that triggers that memory within your nervous system gets activated. Thus, there's the trigger, and then now here comes the behavior that follows that. Whatever your coping mechanism was, based on that, that's what happens. So yeah, I definitely would say both,
Mm-hmm.
but more so, I would probably more so pin it on the emotional side, because 9 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100, it started with the emotion, but we then start flip side and putting it on the spiritual side of things. So we take this unresolved emotional trauma and try to integrate it with the spiritual.
So for the person who is living this human experience, who has experienced different traumas, because we all experience some level of trauma in our life, who
Mhm.
wants to learn to lead and love and live authentically, what's the advice that you have for them?
I would say go inward, confront yourself, be open to dealing with every aspect of you. Because if you don't deal with what's been dealing with you, it's going to come out in everything that you do. Life will exploit it in the most probably inconvenient ways that you ever thought of. So deal with what's dealing with you. And the way you do that is to confront yourself, to face yourself and ask yourself the tough questions. Why am I like this? Why do I do things the way that I do? And why do I get so triggered when people say this? Or why do I not like what I see when I look in the mirror? And it's being able to sit with whatever answer comes when answering those questions, because the answers are inside of you. You know why. But you got to be okay to sit with that and face yourself and not feel uncomfortable with the answer because society and culture made you feel shame. or shameful about those parts of yourself. So you hid that. But be okay exploring that version of you, because to be honest, that's where your power is. It's in the version of you that you hide every single day, the parts of you that you push to the side. That's where your power is. Because what you got to learn to do is you got to learn to integrate the good and the bad and do it like this. Because we are the good and the bad, the good and the bad. That's what shapes us. But it's just that society and culture has made us think that the bad is not acceptable. But no, I had to accept that the bad parts of myself too. That was a part of my healing, was accepting that, yeah, you got some stuff with you, but it don't mean that that you're unlovable, that you're less valuable, or that it doesn't negate your worth in this world. But you just got to learn how to integrate those parts of yourself. And that's the hardest thing for some people to do, is to face themselves, because society and culture has made them feel like, no, if I go there, they ain't gonna want me. Nobody gonna accept me. Nobody gonna love me. So yeah, deal with what's dealing with you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Everybody remember that you cannot change anything that you won't accept. If you don't believe it's there, you won't fix anything that you don't believe is broken. If you don't acknowledge that something's not right, I promise you it won't ever get right. You got to deal with you. You got to go in. Sandra, for everybody out there who's like, whoo, because there's some people weeping right now. They have the tissue and they are toe up. They are dealing with them. Some people had to pause the live. They couldn't even look at the whole thing. They would come back to it later, and they were like, wow, how can I get more of this woman in my life? Where can they find you?
You can find me, one, on my website, herovereverything.com. Two, I am on Facebook as Sandra Allen. I am on TikTok as Her Over Everything Coach. And I am on Instagram as Coach Sandra Allen. I know y'all like all those different names, but hey, it is what it is. Same person, just different names. But yeah, you can reach me on any of those platforms. By all means, I'm an open book. So yeah, there you go. herovereverything.com. So, and then all of my social media handles. I think I'm on everything but YouTube and what's that one? Threads. Yeah.
All right. So y'all got a lot of opportunity. If push come to real shove, type in Sandra Allen. Start there.
Yep.
Type over Her Over Everything. Go there.
Yes.
And then if you really are having trouble finding her, hit me up. I got you. I will get you in contact with her because I got all her information. At least all the stuff I can give to you. I can't give you everything. It's back to the access. It has tiers.
Yes.
But I can get you to her on social medias. But Sandra, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being real and raw and you and honest and speaking your truth and showing up and just always being you. It is an honor to say I know you and that our friendship grows every time we get to connect, and that I've had the opportunity to connect with you. And I hope that connection continues as we continue to grow and shift.
Yes.
And that you will always feel comfortable being you around me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Renita. It's been a pleasure to be here on this platform.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody out there, I know you're like, what? Whew. Breathe. Take some time to breathe after this. It's been a doozer. It's been a doozer,
Yes.
and that's okay. I also know that I love you. Keep being you. Discover you. Figure out who you are and be honest with you so that you can authentically live and lead every day. Love you all. Keep your leadership all the way live. Bye.